Y estamos de regreso con ustedes aquí en KBBF 89.1 FM, Radio Cultura, Radio Comunidad. We're back with you here on KBBF 89.1 FM. And we are at kbbf.org. And today I have the privilege and opportunity to interview two wonderful ladies. Christy Brindley is the executive director, perhaps, or someone who's in charge, I should say, of the organization Just One Mic Foundation. And then Jennifer Sarmento is coming to represent the Kyle J. Taylor Foundation. Welcome to both of you for taking the time. Thank you for taking the time and being here with us. We're going to do this as a bilingual interview. Entonces, tenemos a la señorita Christy Brindley de la Fundación Just One Mic y tenemos a la señorita Jennifer Sarmento de la organización o la Fundación Kyle J. Taylor. Welcome again. Jennifer, could you tell us, it sounds like you have an event coming up in collaboration with Christy. Can you tell us a little bit about the event?
Sure. So Christy and I are working together to bring a free youth heart screening to the Sonoma area for youth ages 12 to 25 years of age on July 15th at the Hannah Center in Sonoma.
Entonces nos dice la señorita Christy que ella y la señorita Jennifer están aquí para anunciar a la comunidad que van a tener un evento gratis donde van a hacer exámenes del corazón el 15 de julio de 12 para niños, niñas de 12 a 25 años de edad y que esto va a suceder allá en la ciudad de Sonoma en el centro que se llama Hannah. And could you remind us of the specific time that this event is going to happen?
Sure. It's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Hannah Center.
And it's important, again, for people to know, do I just show up to this event? Do I have to make an appointment? Entonces, aquí es donde queremos recordarle a la comunidad, el evento va a ser de 10 de la mañana a 4 de la tarde, pero tenemos que hacer cita o nos presentamos. Again, if you could just educate us as to whether or not, either one of you, as to whether or not we need to make an appointment or just show up.
Christy, you want to cover that?
Yeah. You know, we would prefer that a family go through the registration and register their child or their children. Certainly, if we have families that can just make it that day, we're going to accommodate them. You know, our goal is to get every child we can tested that day. But the registration process is easy. It's on the Kyle J. Taylor Foundation website. Jennifer, you could probably expand on what someone needs to do once they register or start to register.
Yep.
Definitivamente. Entonces, le pregunto que si tenemos que inscribirnos para el evento y nos dice la señorita Christy que ellas preferirían si las personas se inscribieran para asegurarse que hay suficientes servicios, pero si al final no se puede inscribir y necesita preséntese ese día, pero ustedes pueden ir a la Fundación Kyle J. Taylor y ahí pueden inscribirse y les daremos más información acerca de esto. And it sounds, Jennifer, like it's not that complex of a registration form that anyone should be able to fill out.
Yeah. So as Christy said, yeah, we prefer to have everybody register, but you can go on to our website, kylejtaylor.org, and find the registration link. It's just a little bit of information you fill out about your child, their age. There's some few questions to fill out about some family history, any kind of symptoms they may have had in the past. They sign the waiver online for us to screen their child, and then that's it. And they pick a time frame to come, a 30-minute time slot to come as well.
Entonces nos dice la señorita Jennifer que usted puede ir a la fundación que se llama, a la página web que es kylejtaylor.org y lo único que le van a pedir es el nombre de la persona, la edad, si hay algún tipo de historial médico, algunos síntomas que podrían afectar su salud, y lo último es, usted escoge la hora cuando va a suceder el evento y usted firma que da permiso que ellos y ellas hagan esto. Now, for somebody who's listening, and again, we can start with either one of you, for somebody who's listening to us now, why is this so important? Why should we get children? I mean, a lot of our children are playing sports, perhaps not as many as there should be, but a lot of our children are playing sports. A lot of our children are active. Why should we, excuse me, be concerned about their hearts? And we're talking about children 12 to 25. Entonces, la pregunta es, ok, pero son niños, niñas, están haciendo actividades físicas, aunque muchos de ellos, ellas necesitan hacer actividades físicas, pero tal vez están jugando deportes. ¿Por qué necesitamos preocuparnos de su salud para estos niños, estas niñas?
Chris, do you want me to go?
Yeah, why don't you go? Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, so it's important because 1 in 300 youth have an undiagnosed heart condition, and our current basic physicals that our children get miss about 85% of the issues that can cause cardiac arrest. So a lot of kids are being missed, and I know for Christy and I, both of our boys seemed healthy. They passed their physicals, and no sign of anything until it was too late. But and those stethoscopes miss most of the issues. They have to be seen on an EKG or an echo, and so that's the service we provide. So there's an extra step of checking kids' hearts.
Entonces me dice la señorita Jennifer, dice, la realidad es que 1 de cada 300 niños, niñas en esas edades de 12 a 25 tiene un problema con su corazón. Y cuando alguien va a hacerse un examen físico, por ejemplo, para participar en deportes, 85% de esos exámenes no capturan esta información. Estos niños, niñas se ven como unas personas sanas y cuando van a hacer esos exámenes físicos, dice, y desafortunadamente no aprenden acerca de la realidad como nuestros hijos que terminaron falleciendo, dice. Para esto se requiere exámenes que le llaman el eco y el EKG para detectar este tipo de cosas. Christy or Jennifer, anything else you would like to share about it?
Yeah, I'd like to just add that, this information is not widespread, and it needs to be, that sudden cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death for student athletes, 12 to 25. It's also the leading cause of death on school campuses, 12 to 25. And in most cases, there are no symptoms. The first symptom is cardiac arrest.
Entonces le pregunto a que si nos pueden dar un poquito más información, y dice la señorita Christie que en realidad parte del problema es que no hay suficiente información acerca de esto y que no hay síntomas antes que algo suceda. Dice, lo que sucede en estos casos de niños y niñas de 12 a 25 es que de un momento están vivos y el siguiente ya no están ahí. Y esto está sucediendo frecuentemente en escuelas y por eso es importante. I attended the event that was done at Santa Rosa Junior College Petaluma campus a year or 2 ago. And it was interesting to see because one of the people who actually listened to this show and went to that event, they caught it. And then they got the support that they needed. And again, she participated in sports. She seemed very healthy, but within 15, 20 minutes, the results were there. So they sent her to an additional testing. And then the mom reached out to me just to say, thank you for announcing this event because now we know, right? And it's important for people to understand that it is possible to prevent this type of trauma in the family just by taking the time to do this.
Right.
And so
yeah,
the question then becomes, how many spaces do you have for this event?
Well, we can take more. I mean, we have over 100 kids right now. but we're working on volunteers, and we can certainly take several hundred more. I mean, Jennifer, you can add to that as well. We can
Yeah, we can take on a couple hundred more kids still, so
easily.
yeah.
Good. Entonces,
Yeah.
una de las cosas que le digo es que una familia que conozco que nos escucha aquí en la radio hace 1 o 2 años cuando se hizo el evento, porque no se hace frecuentemente, es importante que sepan, pero hicimos el evento allá en Santa Rosa Junior College, Petaluma Campus, y una de esas familias ahí la vi y después se comunicaron conmigo porque estaban agradecidos que la radio anunció ese evento porque su hija de la señora salió con este problema y de ahí le proveyeron el apoyo necesario para que mejorara su situación. Entonces le pregunto a las señoritas que cuántas personas pueden tomar y dice que ya tienen más de 100 personas inscritas, pero que pueden tomar otras 200. And so again, your organizations are dedicated to educating and providing services for, again, this type of checkups. How many families are you aware of that have tragically lost somebody as a result of this? I don't know if you have that information.
I don't know if
lot.
we have an exact number yet, but Christy and I know, unfortunately, a lot of families that have been affected by cardiac arrest that have lost their children to it. I know for me, we didn't know anything about this until after I lost my son, and that's a lot of families that we've met. On the flip side, because of the services that we provide, we have also identified kids. Most screenings, we identify at least one child, as like you mentioned, the previous listener had been identified. So we know that these work. We know that they can help and, hopefully prevent a family from going through what Christy and I have gone through. So that's what keeps us doing these for the community.
Yeah. And I can add also to that, and many of your listeners might be aware of this. Just a year ago in June, a 16-year-old young man was playing basketball in Sonoma and collapsed, suffering sudden cardiac arrest. And thankfully, there was an AED just steps from the court. Just One Mike Foundation had helped donate that, but he had 3 friends who knew what to do. And in that case, it's, seconds and minutes matter in order to save someone's life. And we're so thankful to be able to share that he did survive fully and recover fully from that. But we also learned that there was a reason behind the cardiac arrest that he suffered. And it was an underlying undetected heart condition that his parents knew nothing about because this kind of testing isn't our standard of care. So he's one of many examples of kids who could have been detected in this kind of a screening and not experience the trauma. And he actually came out with the 10% or less of people who survive cardiac arrest. The statistic is very grim. 90% usually do not survive.
Thank you for that. Entonces, les pregunto a ellas acerca de cuántas familias ellas conocen que han perdido a un niño o una niña como resultado de este problema. Y la señorita Jennifer dice que ella y la señorita Christy conocen a muchas personas que desafortunadamente han perdido a sus hijos, a sus hijas. Estas 2 invitadas también pasaron esa tragedia y lo único que están tratando de hacer es ofrecer este servicio gratis para que ustedes y sus familias no tengan que sufrir. Lo que sabemos, dice la señorita Jennifer, es que estos exámenes funcionan y que no son parte de las examinaciones que se hacen anualmente para nuestros niños y nuestras niñas. Y la señorita Christy nos dice que no sabe si la comunidad sabe aquí, pero hace un año, en junio exactamente, en el área de Sonoma, dice, sucedió que un muchacho estaba jugando básquetbol y le dio un ataque al corazón, dice. Y en esa situación, su fundación de ella, Just One Mike Foundation, había puesto ese sistema para que le pudieran ayudar a ese muchacho. Entonces ponen estos, y le voy a preguntar más de esto en un segundo, para que ustedes sepan de esto. Pero dice, lo que la gente necesita saber es que esa vida fue salvada, que el niño tenía un problema del corazón y nadie lo sabía, su familia no lo sabía, pero si le hubieran hecho el examen, el trauma que tuvo que pasar ese muchacho no lo hubiera pasado. Y eso es un ejemplo de una vida que fue salvada. Dice, 1 de cada 10 no tienen eso. Can one of you talk to us, or both of you talk to us a little bit about this monitors, or I forget what you call it, in order to be able to help somebody who's going through cardiac arrest? I know that they are expensive. I know that some of your foundations are trying to put them in schools, are trying to put them in other places for easy access. I'm assuming, again, they are expensive and that it's not easy to be able to do this. But one of the things that I know that when you do this type of testing for youth, part of the things that I believe you do is you train participants on how to do this should they find somebody in that situation.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what the monitor or the equipment you're talking about is an AED, or an automatic external defibrillator. Yes. So both Christy and I's missions are to get as many AEDs out there. And luckily for that young man in Sonoma, Christy had placed an AED there. You know, it could have been a very, very different outcome for that young man had that not been there. Yeah, and then at our screenings, we will have CPR and AED demonstrations to teach people how to do CPR and how to use an AED, because that's a myth for people. They think they're difficult or they could hurt somebody with an AED, and they are not. They're very simple to use. It walks you through the steps. You can't hurt anybody with an AED. So we try to get that out there just as much as learning about CPR as well.
Absolutely. And I would just add to that, an AED is the only way to restart someone's heart that has suffered cardiac arrest outside of a hospital. So without the intervention and having an AED involved, the chance of surviving a cardiac arrest decreases 10% with every minute that passes. And they're expensive, yes, but not so expensive when you look at the, what they do. So we totally advocate to have these publicly accessible. We've been working on that in the town of Sonoma, the city of Sonoma, where we want them in parks, we want them in recreational areas, in all the schools, but just everywhere. And we should all know how to be a bystander who can jump in and help save a life. So the CPR training and the demonstration, I think, is so important in the screening, and to just educate our community on the cardiac chain of survival.
Thank you for that. Entonces, les pregunto que si nos pudieran dar un poquito más información. Les digo, es mi entendimiento que cuando van a estos eventos, a los estudiantes, las familias pueden aprender a cómo se usan estos sistemas automáticos, donde usted no tiene que saber cómo usarlo necesariamente, pero aprende dónde pone ese sistema para que una vez más empiecen a hacer funcionar el corazón otra vez. Y lo que nos dicen son dos cosas. Dice, la gente aprende no nada más cómo usar este sistema, pero les enseñamos los primeros auxilios a todas las personas que se presentan. Dice, queremos que la gente sepa que de esta manera podemos salvar las vidas. Dice, por cada minuto que alguien no está recibiendo este apoyo cuando tienen un ataque del corazón, dice, la probabilidad de que puedan sobrevivir baja por 10%. Y la otra cosa es, porque le pregunté que si eran muy caros, y dice, sí son caros, pero no son más caros que la vida de un niño o niña, dice. Queremos que estén accesibles estos sistemas en los parques, centros de recreación y otros lugares públicos, dice, para que así la gente aprenda a usarlos, porque la gente dice, pero ¿qué tal si lo trato de usar y daño a alguien? Dice, no hay forma de que vas a dañar a nadie porque es fácil de usar. And so, again, we could talk a lot more about this stuff, but I just wanna, thank you for coming over and talking to us about this. If one of you can, again, let us know, where can people register? Again, we know that you have plenty of space for people to participate, and where it's going to be located and the time. Once again, That way people will hear it a few times and they will be able to participate.
Sure. The screening, it will take place on Saturday, July 15th from 10 a.m. to 4. It'll be at the Hannah Center in Sonoma. It's 17,000 Arnold Drive. And you can register on the KyleJTaylor.org website. You can also go to justthe1mike.org, and that will link you to the registration on Kyle J. Taylor's site. And I would like to also share that the registration online, as well as all of our promotional materials, are in both Spanish and English. And we will have bilingual volunteers with us the day of the screening to help. And the test itself, just to take some of the mystery away, is super simple. It's non-invasive, very quick, just a few minutes, painless, and these screenings are life-saving days for families.
Entonces les pedí que me dieran otra vez la información para que ustedes puedan apuntarla. Va a ser el sábado 15 de julio de 10 de la mañana a 4 de la tarde en el centro de Sonoma que se llama Hannah o Hannah Center, que está localizado en el 17,000 de la Arnold Drive en Sonoma. Y dice, usted puede ir a KyleJTaylor.org. Esta información también la vamos a poner en Facebook y al rato que salga el video de esta entrevista la vamos a poner en la descripción del video. O pueden ir a Just, J-U-S-T, el número 1, mic.com y dice que la información para inscribirse está en inglés y en español y que el día del evento van a tener, a gente que va a estar ahí accesible en inglés y en español. Y dice que no quiere que la gente se preocupe. El examen no es difícil, simplemente les conectan unas cositas para checarles cómo está su corazón, les chequean el corazón y en unos minutos ya salen. Entonces, no se preocupen. And so, again, I just want to thank you both for taking the time and being here with us, Jennifer Sarmento and Christy Brinkley. Again, one of you is representing Christy is representing the Just One Mike Foundation, and Jennifer is from the Kyle J. Taylor Foundation. So thank you to both of you for taking the time. And again, there's still a couple of weeks, so we will continue to announce this event next Thursday as well, so that as many people as possible will be able to benefit from this wonderful work that you're doing. So thank you to both of you for taking the time and being with us. Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.